All right, man, peace. So for many of you brothers who've been on my channel long enough, you know that for at least a year and a half now, I've been telling you that this narrative that so many star players want to play with LeBron James is a complete media concoction, a complete media narrative, and that it was very obvious to me that the other top players in the NBA are more concerned with beating LeBron than playing with LeBron, most likely because they feel a certain way about him that is contrary to the energy or the image that the media projects about LeBron James, that he's this mix of Santa Claus and Malcolm X. He's fighting for the people, and he's also giving away gifts to every child on the planet Earth on December 25th. It's a big damn joke. Well, Kevin Durant pretty much told the truth, but I do believe that there's a method to his madness. There may be some chicanery that is associated with his transparency. What the method to his madness might be, of course, will not be fully revealed until after this season. Maybe it's a smokescreen and a ruse to sign with LeBron. Maybe it's a way to indirectly try to communicate with Kawhi Leonard that he should team up with KD and play with the Clippers. Of course, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
Ooh. All right. In a Bleacher Report story this morning, Kevin Durant had some very interesting things to say about the challenges of playing with LeBron James and why it makes sense for some players and not for others.
Also, please keep in mind that Kevin Durant is very close friends with Kyrie Irving. So I'm pretty sure that many of the things that Kevin Durant is saying about LeBron James is not just based on from the outside in, but also based on some inside information or some intel per se. And maybe not just from Kyrie, maybe from J.R. Smith, aka Just Retarded Smith, maybe from Kevin Love, maybe from Chris Bosh, maybe from Dwayne Wade. There are a lot of players around the NBA who I won't say have an axe to grind with LeBron James, but who can provide some insight, some information that's accurate in regards to what the LeBron James teammate experience is actually like.
Please let me explain. Here's the deal. It depends on what kind of player you are. There we go. We got the quote panel and everything. If you're Kyle Korver, then it makes sense.
In other words, if you're a pretty good role player whose job it is to just pull up for three. As I've told you brothers before, in the LeBron James system, LeBron handles the basketball. Everybody else just pulls up for three.
Because Kyle Korver was the bulk of the offense, and he's not a number one option at all, not even close. So his talents benefit more from a guy who can pass and penetrate and get him open.
Damn, KD. Tell us how you really feel about Kyle Korver, brother.
If you're a younger player like a Kawhi, trying to pair him with LeBron James doesn't really make sense.
Now look at that. Out of all people, Kevin Durant decides that he's going to call out Kawhi Leonard's name. Now, why would he do that? As we know, Doc Rivers and Jerry West believe that they have the inside track on signing Kawhi Leonard. One of the reasons why Draymond Green exploded on Kevin Durant is because right before the game that the Golden State Warriors played against the LA Clippers, Kevin Durant was seen having a relatively comfortable conversation with the owner of the Clippers, Mr. Steve Ballmer. So it does not take much to put two and two together. And there have been rumors that KD has wanted to relocate to Los Angeles for a while now. And signing with the Clippers along with Kawhi Leonard would pretty much be perfect for him, because it would afford him the ability to play in LA, not have to play with LeBron James, and also still be able to compete as a quote-unquote alpha, or at least a pseudo-alpha, teaming up with a Kawhi Leonard who also, as we all know, wants to come back to LA, but also does not want to play with LeBron.
Kawhi enjoys having the ball in his hands, controlling the offense, dictating the tempo with his post-ups. It's how he plays the game. A lot of young players are developing that skill, and they don't need another guy.
In other words, everybody wants to be LeBron. Everybody wants to beat LeBron. They don't want to play with LeBron. And as KD has stated so well, so many of these young players today are trying to master their face-up game, going in between the legs 3 times, pulling up from 20 feet, 25 feet, even 30 feet. Why would you want to team up with a 34-year-old LeBron James, who, as we all know, is going to get all the credit and none of the blame? Once again, do I still think that there's a slim chance that KD might team up with LeBron? Yes. But after these comments, very, very slim. Because unless he's utilizing misdirection on the level of the best magician of all time, I just don't see why he would say things like this if he truly intends on signing with LeBron. I think that it makes more sense that he's trying to communicate with Kawhi Leonard on a certain level that they should both team up together on the LA Clippers. But we'll see how things turn out.
Stephen A?
He's absolutely right. It's the kind of thing that has been said about LeBron. And notice, it wasn't a single indictment against LeBron. People can take it that way, but it's simply not true.
Stephen A. Smith, it was an indictment without being an indictment. That's what it was. It pretty much was the equivalent of saying no disrespect before you go on and tell the truth about somebody, because you know that it's going to be perceived as disrespect. That's why he made the statements about LeBron creating a toxic atmosphere along with his fanboys in the media, and then ending it with, well, it's not LeBron's fault. But he knows that it is LeBron's fault, because the energy that emanates from LeBron is amplified by the media. So the media cannot make an environment toxic unless the emitter of that energy is emitting toxic energy that the media itself is using and just amplifying it to push it out to the masses.
True. You're talking about a style of play and what has worked effectively for LeBron and what has led to winning. We understand that. So if you are a role player, the Tyson Chandlers of the world, the Kyle Korvers of the world, and others, you get that. But if you are a Kevin Durant, if you are a Kawhi Leonard, if you are Anthony Davis or somebody of that ilk with greatness hovering all over you.
Let me also say this. You know who Kevin Durant's comments reflect very well on? Mr. Steph Curry. They reflect very, very well on Steph Curry. Because all of the statements, the sentiments that Kevin Durant is associating with LeBron James, he would never, ever say about Steph Curry. Because the media does not fawn over Steph. One could certainly make the case that they were 2 years ago. But as of right now, they're not. And plus, KD has had the opportunity to play with Steph Curry, to sit in the locker room with him. He knows who he is as a person in regards to the energy that he emits, at least when he's amongst his teammates.
Then that might not be your preferred style of play. To go someplace where somebody else is leading. They have their ball in the hand. They're running the offense. They're dictating touches for you. They're dictating activity for you. As great as LeBron is, part of what makes them great is their unwillingness to just accept the fact that he's the greatest when they feel that they are coming, that they are accomplished, that they...
Stephen A. Smith, what type of top-notch player in the NBA is going to look at LeBron James and say, you're the greatest, I want to play with you? They watch LeBron. Once again, LeBron James is the Wilt Chamberlain of his generation. That's what he is. He's somebody that the other players in the league are in awe of in regards to what he represents physically, just as an athletic specimen. But he is not associated with winning. When it comes to these other players, he's just not. That's why he'll never be Jordan, because they're not in awe of him in that way. They're in awe of him in another way, as just a physical manifestation of the perfect athlete. But that's it. That's as far as it goes. So no, they're not going to look at him and be in awe of him. They know that he's beatable.
They are elite in and of their own right, which is why when Kyrie Irving decided to take his talents to Boston, even though he was traded, of course, it was one thing if he was saying, I'm better than LeBron. He never said that. He never even implied that. What he said was...
What he basically said was, I'm going to be happier without LeBron. That's what he said. And that's why so many of these guys do not want to play with LeBron James. I've been telling you guys that for over a year.
I'm great too. And I'm great enough where I should not have to sit back and have my future completely contingent upon decisions made by LeBron, not just off the court, but literally on the court. I have a problem with that because I can't grow and flourish into the player I want to be, and more importantly, I believe I can be. I think great players have the license and the latitude to say that. Kevin Durant is one of those players, even though he may not have been talking about himself, or maybe he was. He has the right and the license as a great player who's also the reigning two-time champion and two-time league MVP to articulate intelligently and cerebrally exactly what he just articulated. I have no issue with it whatsoever.
I do, and it's not because KD is wrong on the facts, or on the surface at least. I understand what he's saying, but let's look a little more deeply into the meaning of the comments, and maybe KD is not even fully aware, or Kyrie was not even fully aware. Here is the fact of the matter. LeBron James, the best player in the NBA, by far. KD's not close, no one's close.
Max Kellerman. Yo, this dude be killing me when he say that shit. LeBron James is by far, he's light years ahead of everybody else in the NBA. But by the end of the season, Anthony Davis will be better than him. So in other words, LeBron James is going to get into his spaceship and go backwards in the space-time continuum, light years, so that Anthony Davis can catch up with him by the end of the season. And Kevin Durant is not even close, even though KD just smoked him in the finals the last 2 years. And of course, people are going to say, what are you talking about? KD had Steph Curry, he had Klay Thompson, he had Draymond Green. Look, if LeBron James is light years ahead of everybody else, he's never supposed to get swept. Ever. Allen Iverson was able to get one game against the 0-1 Lakers. There's no way in the world that LeBron James is supposed to get swept ever if he's truly light years ahead of everybody else. But Max Kellerman would be killing me with that shit. He would look dead in the camera and just... He reminds me of those Deontay Wilder fans after this last fight against Tyson Fury. They said, what are you talking about? Deontay was getting on 50 pounds. He got 2 knockdowns. And all you got to do is find 4 other rounds that he won. Facts. Like, they don't even know what a fact is, but they just think that by saying the word facts that it makes what they're saying legitimate. It's the same thing with this dude, Max Kellerman. Well, LeBron's just light years ahead of everybody. Really? How could you be light years ahead of Kevin Durant? Like, that's not possible. Even Michael Jordan is not light years ahead of Kevin Durant. He's ahead of Kevin Durant, but he's not light years ahead of Kevin Durant. You go find me a player who over the course of a 12-year career is averaging 27 points per game on over 50% from the field. Kevin Durant's one of the top 5 elite scorers in the history of the NBA.
He does more with, and it's a team game. And the irony here is, other players are like, I don't know if I want to be on a team with LeBron because I have to, because he subsumes everybody. He's above everybody. And
yes, he's Galactus. He consumes everybody. That's what he does. He consumes everybody like they're planets.
And we have to play in his shadow. And I understand that way of thinking, except that LeBron does more with less. You know, he took, Kyrie is excellent and Kevin Love is really good. And LeBron, even without those guys, took a Warriors team 6 games that was fully loaded. And then
a neophyte Warriors team. They were not experienced at all. Had that been the 2016 Warriors team, he would have got swept.
And then the following year, beat them at Oracle with an inferior team. His team was not as good, but because they had him...
Bullshit. The Cleveland Cavaliers had a superior roster to the 2016 Golden State Warriors. I'm sure that a lot of people will say, what are you talking about? That team won 73 games. What that 2016 Golden State Warriors team was, that was a perfectly put together machine that in its fullness was greater than the sum of its parts. If we were to take Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green and compare them to LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Love, I promise you, there is no one who would take Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson over LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Love in a 3-on-3. Nobody. And then when you add Iman Shumpert and J.R. Smith and a lot of these other athletic wings that they had who were able to all put it together at the same time, especially after Game 4, no. That team, the 2015-16 Cleveland Cavaliers, were the favorite to win the championship before the season. They were the favorite to win the championship before the 2014-15 season and before the 2015-16 season. So the fact that they were able to defeat a Golden State Warriors team with a hobbled Steph Curry, a Draymond Green who was bugging out of his mind, the center Andrew Bogut missed the last 2.5 games of the series, Andre Iguodala had full body spasms down the stretch of Game 6 going into Game 7. Harrison Barnes, I have no idea who put a spell on him. People forget this. Harrison Barnes shot like 15% in that series. He was atrocious. And this was a player, Harrison Barnes, who was known for making clutch, long 2-point jump shots and long 3-pointers for that team that year. So many things had to come together at once for the Cavaliers to beat that Warriors team.
They were just a little bit better. he does more with less. So if your goal as a player is to win as much as possible, then you want to play with LeBron. But that's not actually really the player's goal necessarily, and that's okay.
Why would you want to play with LeBron James if your goal is to win as much as possible when history shows us that he only wins 1 out of every 3 times that he goes to the finals? Does that make sense? If you want to win as much as possible, shouldn't you go sign with Golden State and play with Steph Curry?
Okay with them. As fans, maybe you feel a little bit differently about it, but it's okay if their point is to make money, for example. That's their business. They want bigger sneaker deals, whatever it is. They want to be bigger stars and maneuver that with that as they like to profit from it now and later. Okay, I understand that. They don't want to be in LeBron's shadow. They want to leave their own legacy to show what they can do as the best player on a team. Okay, but think about what KD did, for example. He went to Golden State, by far the best team, and with him...
How could they be by far the best team even before they got Kevin Durant if, as you say, anybody who wants to win would go play with LeBron James? I'm trying to figure out what you're talking about, Max Kellerman, because you're not making any sense, dude.